Hello and welcome to MySecurityTV, our Tech and Sec Weekly. This is our Friday morning edition. My name is Chris Cubbage. I'm the Executive Editor and Director with MySecurity Media. Today we're looking at a Bosch 8000 series, it's a new version of its X series just released. We're going to be joined by Allen Hepburn, Video Systems Product Manager with Bosch. Let's bring on Allen Hepburn, Video Systems Product Manager. And Allen, are you there? There you are. Beautiful. I thought I lost you there for a second.
No worries.
Alan, thanks for joining us. And this follows a release, I think it was just the other day, on the new Flexidome IP Starlight 8000i X series. Maybe talk us into what the difference is between the 8000 and the X series in terms of the normal series that you have going.
Thank you. Good day, Chris, and good morning to all the viewers. As Chris mentioned, my name is Allen Hepburn, and I'm the Video Product Manager for Australia and New Zealand. I'm excited to be here today and grateful for the opportunity to talk about this exciting new addition to the Bosch video range. So it's called the Flexidome IP Starlight 8000i X series, which is a mouthful. So for the purposes of this session, I will just refer to it as the X series. So It is based on the current version of 8000i, but it has a few additional new hardware in terms of new optics, bigger image sensor, and some improvements on the algorithm, which I'll get to in some of the slides.
But definitely, welcome to here we go. You got your slides ready to go, and we'll walk through those. And again, if you've got any questions or you want something particularly covered, welcome to fire something into the chat. And then otherwise, I'll come up with some questions along the way, Alan. Are these currently available in the region in Australia already?
Yes, it's been released, and customers are able to order it from our distribution partners.
Great. All right, mate. Well, let's walk us through, because I just mentioned I've just finished a project over in WA with the 5000 series in.
Yes.
How long has the 8000 series been out?
So the predecessor, or the standard model of 8000 was released back in 2019, just before the last ASIL, and that actually won the last award of ASIL for best camera. So the X series is just an addition to that model, so already a strong platform, but with further enhancements and improvements. So at a first glance, it's not just an aesthetically pleasing design. It also houses intelligence, strong analytics, and with the new X series, outstanding image quality with the introduction of Starlight X and HDRX technology. And all of this comes in a robust and secure housing.
Yeah, walk us through, yeah.
Okay, so let's just start off with the Starlight X technology. So if I can draw your attention to the image comparisons towards the right of the screen, you will immediately notice a difference. So this is quite a challenging scene. Early evening, lots of moving vehicles and headlights. And as you can see, the X series copes really well with it. You can clearly see better sensitivity, better reproduction on the color, which also allows more detail. So then a second comparison just below that, in almost complete darkness. And this time it is the 4 megapixel model being compared to a competitor's product with the same image size sensor and same resolution. So with this scene, you can almost think that they use some form of infrared or IR, but that's all achieved just by using natural light. In addition to that, also some clever optics and improved algorithms. So if you were to use analytics in this scene, then you'll at least be able to get all the relevant information as all the objects are visible.
Where is it occurring in the camera? So the difference there is quite stark in terms of that, even the HD Starlight and the Starlight X. Is it? Yeah, what is happening? Is it an optical
yes.
firmware? Is it a firmware or is it a piece of hardware in there?
So the next slide actually covers that. So
okay.
The timing on that question. Okay, so let's just take a closer look at how we achieve this significant improvement. So this is done through hardware and through firmware improvements. So firstly, a bigger large pixel half-inch sensor, then new optics, which comprises of 8 elements in the lens, which allows up to 54% more light. And last but not least, the improved software side on the suppression and image processing.
On the camera, that processing is happening on the camera?
Correct, so it's all at the edge. So this results in 5.5 times improved color sensitivity, also reduced motion blur, and also less artifacts, as we are able to increase the shutter speed. And as you've seen in the comparison images, more detail due to less noise and much better color reproduction. Then on the monochrome side, you have even better sensitivity up to the point where you almost don't need to rely on IR illuminators.
Does it still come with IR?
No, so it's just a Starlight model, so Starlight X in this case, yeah. Okay, so let's just look at a few other examples, this time just in monochrome, where we've again compared the X series versus the standard or the current HD model, and also 2 other tier 1 competitors. So first of all, you'll notice the excellent image being produced by the X series, and also you're able to see the objects at least in the scene. Towards the right, you have the standard HD model, which is already a high-spec camera, but compared to the X series, you have a lot less detail. Then moving on to the competitors' cameras just below that, you've got very good sensitivity in competitor B, and the stationary objects are visible, but unfortunately the moving object has notable motion blur, and likewise with the competitor A, with just less sensitivity.
That's pretty. What would you know? What lux level that is? That looks almost 0 or less than 1.
Less, yes, definitely less than 0. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the next exciting technology is called the HDRX. So we first covered Starlight X, and now we're moving on to HDRX. So this is effectively the next generation of HDR technology. So taking the same principles which were applied in the Starlight X and HDRX to provide sharper images with more detail and less motion blur. So again, if I can draw your attention to the image comparisons, you may think for a brief moment that if you look at the HDRX image, that it's actually a stationary vehicle, as it's that sharp, and you can also read the number plate. But in fact, if you look at the other comparisons, you'll realize that the vehicle is in fact moving, and you will then see noticeable artifacts and motion blur.
Maybe, so, Alan, maybe just for the audience, most of them, I'm sure, will have an understanding of what HDR is, or high dynamic range. Maybe just go into explain what high dynamic range is for us.
Okay, the next slide covers that.
That's always the problem with slides, isn't it?
No worries.
Well, you tell us what HDR is on the next slide then. But that's pretty good. Any idea what speed that car's going at?
It was around 60 kilometers an hour.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I do know that Transport I think they do like the Bosch cameras on their transport network.
Yes,
you see quite a few of them around, yeah?
Correct. It's one of our biggest customers in the transport industry. So with the HDRX, you have various modes which you can set. And in this case, the motion optimized mode was used. And that is, again, to have clearer, sharper images for a moving object. Okay, so how does the HDRX technology work? So here we can firstly see how traditional HDR is applied, where the final image is made up out of multiple images. So one at a long exposure time to allow more light in, and then a short exposure which produces a darker image. Now, to this date, it's been fairly effective, but as a result of the long exposure, you tend to get more HDR blur and artifacts. So in comparison with the HDRX, we apply a similar principle, but by combining the two images, and because of the new hardware and improved algorithms, we're able to take a high and a low readout at the same short exposure. And that result is that moving objects are sharper and have less artifacts.
Yep. Just balances that light out as well, doesn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then moving on to the edge analytics. So each Bosch camera is able to overlay a metadata stream on the video stream, which simply put gives you additional information of the scene. So such as an object, you can also define its trajectory, its position, speed, color, etc. So in addition, you also have 16 analytic rules on each camera that are preloaded. It's not licensed, so it comes with the camera as a standard. And on the higher end models, such as the X series, you can run all 16 rules at the same time. So a typical example of such a rule is a vehicle crossing a line. Now, because you can classify the object as a vehicle, you can apply a filter that only detects vehicles traveling in a certain direction, which will then raise an alarm just by applying those two filters. And with a few basic steps on that rule, you've just applied a wrong direction rule to detect vehicles traveling in the wrong direction.
I suppose
you can then also,
Alan, just on this, and this becomes where the configuration comes into play as you make the system, create intelligence basically in terms of the video surveillance. How easy is it to push sort of rules and policy out to multiple cameras at the same time? Do you have to do this at the camera level, or can you do this at the platform level and then do multiple cameras on this? Where's the how easy is it to apply these rules, as you say, for each camera?
So what you can do is you can configure the first camera and do the necessary calibration. And once that is done, you can then copy the config and do like a batch config in multiple cameras. So
right,
that
okay.
can be possible. Yeah.
That was the answer I was after. Thank you.
No worries. So you can take it a step further by applying additional filters to the rules, such as defining the vehicle, the color, and speed, etc. You can also do scripting that can be applied to allow logic between the rules, like AND or logic, which makes it very flexible. And then last but not least, the metadata can also be streamed to software that will then aggregate all the metadata, either from a single camera or from multiple cameras. And then it will display it in intuitive widgets on a dashboard.
I haven't seen that. And that's standard, is it?
Correct.
Is this coming from the camera into the VMS, or
yes,
how does that work?
That screenshot there towards the far right is actually called the Bosch Intelligent Insight software. So it's purely a metadata aggregation software package that allows you to do custom dashboards on certain use cases and then display it in those intuitive widgets, either a widget form or in like a bar graph form.
So there is integration there into a video management system?
Yes, I mean, look, that's a web-based, or you can pull that in via URL into third-party VMSs. You can also use other third-party companies such as NetGenic to do a custom dashboard with the metadata.
Okay, interesting. And obviously that's aggregated data as well. It's not just per camera, but you can aggregate that data, right?
Correct, yeah. So the first version of Intelligent Insights allows you to do 64 cameras on one system, and we're expecting a release in the next month or two that will more than double that number.
Well, maybe give us a use case. What would be good to be monitoring the metadata in terms of an intelligence monitoring tool, or is it just more system monitoring and make sure everything's working fine?
Yeah, so if we look at the example of that dashboard, you can see the vehicle and you can see the person below that. So first basic rule can be applied by counting vehicles. And again, you can define the type of vehicle, whether it's a normal car, a truck, a bus, or a bicycle, and then do a counting just on a certain direction. In addition to that, you can do the same with people counting, and also just count upright persons. So that's just an example of counting. You can also do occupancy to see the amount of people in an area. You can also do a flow sort of use case that allows you to detect the flow of people as well.
Yeah, and I see there's speed as well. So you could do a sort of average speed and whether people are going through an area and they're actually speeding. So from a safety perspective, right? Yes,
and then the image that you can see at the bottom of that dashboard is just a simple JPEG image or a PDF image. And what you do there is you classify the objects. So you position the camera with the geolocation settings, and then the camera is then able to plot the objects that it detects in the field of view, and then it'll define it on that map as an upright person or a truck or a bicycle, etc. Okay. And also show you the trajectory of that object.
Very good. So does it link? Would it also link to the next camera? You know, when you're trying to do the mapping, sort of following someone through a shopping centre, for example, mapping those camera numbers where the system starts to map that object as it moves through multiple camera views?
So that is for a single camera, that use case, yeah.
Got it, okay, fair enough. Yeah. All right, mate.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, that's very exciting. And that's also Bosch first that was released towards the end of 2020.
Right.
So continuing with the edge analytics, so this slide just provides an overview on the road towards AI and being more predictive. So starting with on the left, the 3000 to 6000 series. So those models come standard with what we call EVA, or Essential Video Analytics. Then moving on to the 7 and 8000, they come standard with what we call IVA, which is Intelligent Video Analytics. So the difference between EVA and IVA is simply that the IVA models have additional hardware for processing, which makes it more powerful and more accurate. Then another exciting range is called the Intiox. That's towards the middle, which is Bosch's first Android IP cameras that will allow you adding third-party apps to the camera. Then also in addition to the Intiox, next to that is the OC models, which is also Android platform, but that comes pre-configured with an AI detector for ITS or vehicle verticals, which provides exceptional accuracy based on the deep neural network-based detector. And then lastly, towards the right is just another example of the intelligent insights that allows the user to make informed decisions and get a complete overview of the scene.
Can I just ask on the Intiox OC, that is built predominantly just for traffic. We mentioned transport before, so highways. We did an interview with a startup out of Melbourne just a few weeks ago who's working on predictive traffic congestion, and they can start to predict traffic congestion just based within 3 hours of congestion occurring. Is that something that that this system is looking at in relation to that? What type of
yes, that's
AI has been applied?
For those type of applications, congestion. You can do traffic counts in certain directions, color, car parks, etc.
Right. Okay. And how have you got more on that? Is that's currently available? Any kind of case studies you might be able to raise of where it's been applied?
Yeah. That was the first phase of that was released recently, and then the second phase of the Intiox or OC is expected in the next month or two.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's relatively new. The other thing that we're waiting for on the Intiox side is the App Store. So the App Store is not officially released in Australia yet, and that is expected to be released in September.
Okay.
Yeah, so look, we can definitely provide more information on that after the session. Yeah.
Well, we are looking at doing a deep dive series on video analytics and AI, and so we might have you back for that.
No worries. That'll be the ideal candidate for such a session.
Nice. And
okay.
what we'll do, just conscious of time, Alan, but we might actually let's maybe close off on this one in terms of the detection capabilities that it has.
Yeah, so this is just a typical perimeter example. So where we've applied two different rules. So the first green defined area can serve as an early warning, and then once the perimeter is breached, a second line crossing rule can be used to verify the alarm. And then just referring back to the filters I mentioned earlier, because we can define the object, in this case as an upright person, we can then filter out all other moving objects to reduce the false alarms.
Nice. No questions on that one. That's been around for a little while though, hasn't it? That's on the standard 8000 series?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can maybe do one or two more slides. I'm not sure how much time we've got left.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll finish off on, firstly, is there much of a price difference maybe on the existing Starlights versus the new ones?
No, fortunately not. It's a marginal difference.
Right.
So we expect customers to rather go for the X series.
And the new features are standard as well. They're not having to up the license or anything like that?
No, nothing is licensed on the X series. So everything is on the edge and available on the camera out of the box.
Nice. How are you finding the market overall, particularly say during COVID? Any issues on supply or anything like that? And yeah, maybe we'll touch on that one as well. I mentioned that I had a project with Bosch cameras and didn't seem to be a problem on supply. And yeah, any issues that you've seen in the market?
Yes, look, I guess everybody is struggling. Look, we've done exceptionally well, I must say, not just in terms of supply, but sales. We've had numerous projects, and we've been very lucky up to date to been able to supply everything. But we have resorted in some cases to buy components in the open market, as some of the suppliers are unable to supply.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a worldwide problem. But like I say, fortunately, we've been very lucky to date. We've able to overcome that. That's
around on the chipsets, is it?
Correct. Various components, chipsets, also Wi-Fi modules, etc. So I'm not sure. Some of the further slides I was mentioned that on the X series and also the standard 8000i, it has a Wi-Fi module as well, which can be used for wireless commissioning. So that.
Okay, well, let's skip over to that just quickly, and we'll close off on Wi-Fi commissioning. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's just go to that slide quickly.
I always like it when you see video. Where can video be applied? It's basically anywhere now. I like it when the vendors go, where we can put a camera. It's like we can just put it anywhere now. And I haven't heard of Wi-Fi commissioning, so this is good.
Yeah, so I'll maybe do this slide. So this is just showing a comparison between the traditional way of commissioning by using perhaps a camera tester or someone is being contacted by a control room or remotely instructing a tech on how to position the camera. So with the X series and the built-in Wi-Fi, and it's like I said, it's also available in the standard 8000i. You connect to the camera via an app that can run on a mobile device or a PC, and that is purely used for commissioning purposes. It's also on a separate network, so it's not part of the cable or the fixed network. So
it's a Bluetooth?
It's Wi-Fi.
Okay, Wi-Fi. Okay, but obviously with a limited range then.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that project assistant app or tool, you then can set the field of view of the camera, which has a function that's called PTRZ. So that is pan, tilt, zoom, and the R is for roll. So that allows you to adjust, pretty much all the positions of the camera to get the desired field of view. And that can all be done remotely or via Wi-Fi. So you only need a cherry pick or scissor lift once, and thereafter the commissioning can be done by a single tech, and then also adjustments can be made just by one person doing it.
So you can access it to change the configuration, make some rules on it as well?
Correct.
Okay,
that
cool.
will be done by Wi-Fi.
And obviously the commissioning consultant can get access to that?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And
nice.
like I said, afterwards you can disable the Wi-Fi, and for customers that would like to permanently disable it, there's also an option to do that if they don't want the Wi-Fi to be available at all. Yeah.
Okay. I actually like that. That would have been handy recently.
That's a game changer in the commissioning side, that's for sure.
All right. Well, look, what we'll do, this is in association with our CCTV Buyer's Guide channel. So that's where we put all of our video systems and analytics news and updates on that particular channel. Otherwise, I think you're in yesterday's newsletter as well, but the link will be in our show notes. But thank you so much for that, Alan. I really like that. Video is really kind of my best area. But we haven't really done a live video camera review, so this was quite good and you did very well. So look, just noting on the time, there's no questions from the audience, so although there looks like a few more have come in for the cybersecurity session now with Rob. So Alan, thank you so much for your time. Allen Hepburn, the Video Systems Product Manager. I'll just take that down and bring you up on screen so you're there. That was Bosch has just launched their new Flexidome IP Starlight 8000i X series camera, and some quite good features there on its HDR and obviously on its light as well. So very good. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to the audience.